Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're doing another indie horror spotlight. Today, I have with us, he's a director, and he has a new movie that's going to be releasing sometime in 2025, and it's called Someone Sinister. And he also produced a movie that's right now streaming on HBO Max, and it's called Talk Black. I have with us Jonathan Beatty. Jonathan, welcome to the Horror Room.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, Travis. I appreciate the opportunity. And congratulations on your channel getting monetized, and then just reviewing kind of like some of the videos you've had before. Just the sheer amount of content that you have, the interviews that you're doing, and the consistency is really impressive. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. And by the way, I'd like to thank all my subscribers and supporters. Without you guys, it wouldn't be a horror realm, and to make this channel thrive and be as successful as it has in a short period of time, we've been on air, has been incredible. So thank you. All right, so Jonathan, tell us a little bit about Someone Sinister.
So Someone Sinister is it's going to be a feature-length horror film. I'm writing it, directing, and DPing. And it's just like all very local, very low budget, but I'm trying to get a lot of like high production value out of it. So that means doing a lot of pre-production work, and we ran I can talk about the premise in a second, but we did run an Indiegogo campaign that was, I guess, in my opinion, was successful. We didn't hit our target, which was 30,000, which is kind of like a little bit more than would have probably covered all our posts and everything, but we made about 10,000 raised. Nothing to sneeze at, but it also, just the whole crowdfunding thing is very difficult. We actually used a lot of inspiration from Jason Horton's stuff. So he was on one of your guests recently. That was a great episode. But yeah, it's really tough. It's really tough raising money. And anybody can tell you that. But the film itself is. I'm trying to remember where the inspiration came from. I wanted to do something low budget horror because I think that space is very kind of forgiving with the budgets that we have available, and with you don't have to get named talent necessarily. You can we have a lot of like good actors here. We have a lot of really great special effects artists. And a lot of great locations. And here in South Carolina, one of the places we're using is our gaffer's home, actually, in Abbeville, South Carolina. It's like this old manor. It's like a couple hundred years old. It's got beautiful like old oak trees. It's like very creepy, beautiful locations. So I wanted to do something that we could use all of those things in a way that can make a really nice like end product. So I don't know if you we have a teaser out. It's like a minute long. You can go check that out. I think on someonesinister.com you can see the full like teaser and pitch video. The crowdfunding campaign's in it, but the teaser's in there.
Yes, and but by the way, the teaser's down in the description, so definitely click on the link and check that out. Now,
thank you.
This looks like an amazing movie. I'm from the Carolinas myself. I've spent many time in North and South Carolina. Now, and it's incredible because a lot of, just not even big name, but even indie horror movies, when it comes to filming locations, they are selecting the Carolinas. And it's because, there's the Carolinas, number one, they're friendly when it comes to filmmakers. They definitely promote filmmakers, and they do have a lot of incentives for filmmakers as well. Now, was that one of the big reasons why you chose South Carolina?
Well, our incentive program is actually kind of lacking when compared to like Georgia or North Carolina. There's certain levels for, I think it starts at like 250,000. You might get some sales tax credits. In our range, what we're shooting this one for, and like other friends who are filmmakers, we've got like I think there's like 3 or 4 feature films going on right now. Nobody's able to really take advantage of the tax credits. We've got to do a better job, like letting our politicians know that it's something that can really help our economies and things. But I guess the only, it's kind of a default choice just because I live here and, I have resources here and access to, like a small network. And, we've got a great pool of talented actors and crew. So.
And I watched the trailer. It's a beautifully shot movie. And
Thank you.
And so what's the talent behind it? Because you're telling me that it was a $10,000 budget, which is like, whoa, which is not nothing to sneeze on when it comes to indie horror. But was using the talent that you had, resources to, did that help you get that nice crystal crisp look to it?
Yeah.
Even
So,
with a small budget?
I guess you should say the budget doesn't account for gear and everything, which is a lot of the stuff I own personally. I actually have a film like equipment company. It's Pro-Am USA. You can go to proamusa.com. I've been doing this for since 2003, so 21 years. We make small camera cranes, dollies, sliders, different camera supports. So I have a ton of equipment. I do a lot of freelance DPing, gaffing. I run sound. There's like different feature films that are happening right now in the upstate. One I'm doing sound for. So I have all of the gear. I have everything that we would need to make it, and I know how to operate these things. And so usually I can find somebody. Maybe they don't have the like a full professional might have access to all the gear, and they're not coming with that. They're just coming on the set, and I can kind of instruct them and teach them how to do things. And then a lot of people know those different roles. So since our area is kind of like still small, a lot of people that we have, that are in our network, they know how to do various roles. Like, somebody they can be first AC, they can do gaff, they can, grip. And so that's really helpful. And so that's one of the key things with stretching the budget is one, I have all the gear, and then planning is just prep. I love like pre-production, and a lot of things like there's a scene where a guy's arm gets chopped off and he spins toward camera and it sprays out blood. We did that with like just a few people, and it's just planning it, testing it beforehand. I mean, before you shoot, you've got, as long as you're not locked into a particular timeline. I mean, you can plan forever. You can do things by yourself. You can set stuff up the day before. You can go scout your location. Where your light's going to be. You can set those things out beforehand. Like with ours, we were shooting mostly at night for a really moody look, and that's one of the reasons we're shooting in October or finishing to shoot in October to make use of the longer nights. Then we'll have like rain effects and things. But a lot of that stuff, I can plan a lot ahead of time. I know my blocking. I know, exactly how my lighting is going to look. I know what the camera is going to move like, and just makes it a lot easier. I'm not like running around with my head cut off on set and worrying and stressing over things. So that's just the worst. I hate that kind of feeling.
Now, how important is it there's a lot of new filmmakers who watch my channel. How important is it as a filmmaker to not only plan, but also plan for the what ifs? Because from a lot of filmmakers say, nothing ever goes perfectly as planned. So how important is it to plan for those what ifs?
I mean, it's incredibly important. It's vital. It's I don't know. I would, there's a saying that the movie's made in pre-production. I completely agree with that. It's it shows so much when you plan out blocking, when you plan out a camera move. You can just tell that this was thought about and it's crafted. Versus you just show up on set and you don't know where you're gonna put the actors. You don't know how it's gonna play out, and that's a very amateur way of doing things. And we still are amateurs. I am, at least. I'm trying to do it on a professional scale at that level. And the things that we have within our control is a little bit of time. We can think about things ahead of time. We can research, and um, I think that's just super important to. I have huge spreadsheet where you know, I have cast crew. I have all my moves, what equipment we're going to need. What time we need this thing at, and you've really got to have that kind of level of detail if you're going to stretch a budget and do things with a small crew and make something that has a lot of production value.
And you also got to have room for also to be able to pivot too, because I was on my first movie set, and several things happened, and I was able to watch the filmmaker just instantly pivot, rearrange the script, and do it on the spot. And so I mean, you got to just from that, I was like, wow, I just first time being on a movie set and just watching it, I just gained so much respect for filmmakers, because anything can happen. Someone from the cast could not show up, no show, or you have an outside shoot and it just starts raining unexpectedly. All kinds of shit can happen.
Yeah, everything bad that can happen will happen, and it's hard. Some of those things are hard to plan for. The best way to navigate that is just having experience, being confronted with those kinds of problems. Because I see a lot of first-time filmmakers, even on short films, when they do encounter problems, it just it can really get to people, and they can almost kind of freeze up because they don't know what to do, and having a little bit of experience, that if something does go wrong, you're going to figure out a way out of it. You kind of have to go into it with that mindset that you do have a very solid plan and you're going to stick to it, but then you have to also rely on not only your experience, your crew members, other people's viewpoints. Somebody might have a great idea, even if it's not something that goes wrong. Somebody may have a great idea, and that you need to be a little flexible to be able to pivot and make something better, or save. Like I mentioned you earlier, we did a 48-hour film project. So South Carolina had their first annual 48-hour film project just a couple weekends ago. I started a team, really just a fantastic group of people. It was the greatest experience ever. Team Cephasset. And we ended up winning best film, best directing, several awards at the premiere, the screening on Sunday. Yeah, thank you. It was really, really amazing. There were some great films there, and but man, that is so hard. Just the things that go wrong. Not having, I didn't get to scout the location personally, and then just showing up, and then our main actor, he hurt his foot overnight. He almost didn't show up, and our script would have had to change, and it's like brain was on fire the next morning. But and then we ended up submitting with I don't know if you know how 48-hour film festivals work, but you have to submit by 7:30 the next day, and we literally within 1 minute we had our film uploading. Super, super stressful, but so many things go wrong, and we were changing the script kind of as we went, and it's so tough. But that having some experience in situations that are similar, because most sets are very high pressure, having been exposed to that in several occasions, and just generally in life, having once you go through just very terrible kind of things, you kind of just develop if you can let those things work for you and not against you, you can really come out with a better just perspective when things do go wrong. It doesn't incapacitate you, and you can the crew sees that too. They're watching you, and they're I see some directors who will just get really frustrated, and they get angry, and people don't like that, and I don't like that. I don't work with somebody like that. The crew doesn't like that, and morale suffers, and people, just some people will walk off, and just you really have to maintain your cool when things do go wrong, and it's just they will go wrong, so you just have to prepare yourself for it.
And I totally agree. And because, at the end of the day, as the filmmaker, you are the leader. So everybody else is watching you and how you handle the stress. And if you freak out, or if you're like, oh shit, then and they go, oh shit, So it's follow the leader. I mean, that's in management or any type of lead role. Now, as a filmmaker, do you think that, I mean, for yourself or in general, do you think you have to be a little bit of a stress or adrenaline junkie?
Yeah, I don't know. I've never thought about it like that, but I think that's kind of true because there's something about being on like I like if I'm on a crew as like a first AC or if I'm doing grip or something. It's enjoyable and I like doing those things, but something about biting off a little bit more than you can chew, just like right at that edge of what you're able to accomplish. There's something about that is appealing, and it's like with the 48. The next morning, I mean, I was just so burnt. Like my brain was fried. You're there, you're directing. I was DPing as well, sometimes camera operating, and you have to figure out like how the actors are going to move, what they're going to do, where the camera's going to be positioned, the lighting. I mean, you think about all these things and the script and everything, and it just it's so intense on the brain, just like your brain's moving 1,000 miles an hour. And it really feels like it like overheats at the end of the day. And the next morning I was like, what, like I'm never doing that ever again. And then by like, the end of that day, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, that was kind of fun. That was something about that is, I don't know, I think it's just the challenge, human beings, I think, like challenges. We like to solve problems. And to me, that's just, it's very, I don't know, something about it. Like you said, is that the case for you? Do you feel that when you're shooting?
I would say like, so, I'm not a filmmaker, but I've been on one set and I've interviewed a lot of filmmakers, and it seems like they thrive off of that stress. They thrive off of those situations where most people would collapse or just throw in the towel. And like, I think that is absolutely amazing because, I, in my personal life, even my YouTube channel or even at, my career, my life, I am definitely a stress junkie. I am one of those people, my brain never shuts off. It's always thinking of something new, And so I definitely consider myself a stress adrenaline junkie. And I love having my back to the wall. I actually even test myself sometimes, and like I'll jump on an interview. Let's say if I have an interview at 8 o'clock, I'll jump on right at 8 o'clock, unprepared, and be like, let me see if I can fucking do this. And that's absolutely insane, but it's fun, especially when I'm able to go through the interview.
Yeah, I think that like edge of pressure and like ability to like accomplish something, like writing that kind of line is. It's kind of like building the bridge, like as you're walking,
Yeah.
And of course, you want to prep and plan. That's what we're talking about is pre-production and everything. But there's something about that. It's just exciting. I don't know. It's probably a sickness.
It probably is. I know. Yes, because I mean, like, I can imagine because I've interviewed filmmakers who are like, oh my god, this movie was so stressful. By the way, I just finished the movie. I'm starting my next one next week. I'm like, whoa, you're not taking any time off? And it's like, no, they need that fix. And I'm like, okay. So you were talking about crowdfunding and how tough that was. Like you said, I had Jade Horton on. I've had many of individuals who've been, I would say, successful when it comes to crowdfunding. But majority of filmmakers, indie filmmakers, crowdfunding is something that they have struggled with. I read a stat and they said something like 85% of crowdfunding never meet their goal. Now, do you think it's important to have, if you're a filmmaker, to have something, a backup plan just in case you don't hit your goal or you don't even come close to it?
Oh yeah, definitely. So our plan was, we had a budget of 30,000. We raised about 10 on crowdfunding, and the way I can tell you exactly what, why those people fail, because we kind of did the same thing. But we had a great launch. We did all the prep work. We had great lists of, all the things we're going to target and hit, and press release. We did all the things. Our pitch video I thought was really good. The trailer, subjectively, I thought it was really amazing. And we had a great launch. We got a number 2, like on Indiegogo's homepage. We got in like one of the number 2 spots. We got a little bit of traction from that. We just, it's kind of like you said, when your mind's like going all over the place. That's kind of how, at least I am in life. And, I've got a business. I'm doing like freelance stuff, like marketing. I'm already like jumping around here like a squirrel, so on different tangents. And that's one of the reasons why our campaign didn't get successful. But so I've got like freelance, film work. My business. I was like moving my business during that time. I was just doing way too many things. Like marketing and freelance, like graphics and media for some other people. And and then we didn't have a big enough team to like constantly, be putting out stuff. And so it just kind of like, we had a really good exposure to like our network. And that was, I think, the bulk of it. We got a few good responses from outside of our network, but we didn't like keep that momentum going. And, there'd be like days where nothing would get posted, and that's our fault, and we should have been more. It's a full-time thing. Like if you go into it thinking that, and you're going to put something up there and it's just going to take off, like you're totally wrong. You have to really baby it, and like it is a baby. You have to, and I have a baby. I have a 1-year-old. So that's another thing altogether.
Yeah, that's
doing all this stuff, and then I agreed to do the 48 like towards the end of my campaign. So I think like the campaign ended like a couple of days after our 48. So just don't do too many things. Don't bite off more than you can chew. That's one of those things too about like you want to try and like do everything. Filmmakers are just they're crazy people, and you have to balance that desire to just do everything with doing fewer things, but at a higher level. So that's a good lesson to learn. But so we ended up, I think our end result was about like $9,300, which it's funny because the teaser that I did was like 2 or 3 days of shooting, and that was all out of pocket. So I think that cost like $6,000 or $7,000 to shoot, and now I've got like DVDs and like shirts and all this merchandise that I've got to make, and so that's going to eat up like most of the budget. So not that I'm like I'm not back at square one, but definitely it's been a really good learning experience. I think one of the good things about the crowdfunding campaign is that it exposes to a lot of people. We built up a little bit of an audience. We met some good people, so like a couple actors that are going to be on. I just learned a lot about we did surveys and things, so we've got a lot of information. I think it's going to help us in the marketing and once we have the film made. But yeah, if you're going to do crowdfunding, it's very, very difficult. It's like having a child for 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, it's marketing. I mean, I'm a marketing guy and background, and like it is marketing. I mean, you got to have your finger on that button 24/7.
Yes,
promoting. You got to do interviews with podcasters and YouTubers, and constantly have to promote, and a lot of people don't have time for all that. I mean, if you got a full-time job, you got a family, you're trying to film, trying to plan this and that. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. You've really got to be prepared for it.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's something you can plan for that. And I think if it's much easier to do something like crowdfunding, and if you have the planning ahead of time, and you can you need to map out, in advance. If you're doing an Indiegogo campaign for like 60 days, map out, what you're going to post, schedule it, use a free, social media scheduler, like plan all that stuff. Think about like, you want to be thinking like 3-6 months in advance, like how you're going to do this whole thing, who you're going to reach out to, where your press releases are going, what video content you're going to do, if you're doing a teaser, shoot a lot of BTS and you've got like tons of stuff, and have somebody helping you if you're not able to do it full time. They're posting all the time, some producers or something. But yeah, that's something that people can do, which is, I think, even though it's very difficult, that's easier than going around trying to find investors and begging for money. So both are very hard, but I think the crowdfunding is much more, reasonable in what's possible. So waiting for some like unicorn investor to just pop out and like give you $1 million, because it's not going to happen.
I agree. I totally agree. All right, so let's shoot over. So right now on HBO Max, you produced a movie that's out there right now. It's a short film called Talk Black. Tell us a little bit about Talk Black.
So Talk Black was written and directed by my friend Destiny Macon. She's a local filmmaker here in upstate South Carolina. She won an Indie Grants competition. So South Carolina's got this really cool program that's partnered with the South Carolina Film Commission, and they'll give out grants of up to $35,000 per short film. And so she won. We've been friends. We'd shot like a few films before, short films, and she brought me on as a producing partner. And man, that was fun. It was the premise is like a girl. She works at a local engineering firm. She's female. She's black. She's she gets like the worst truck. The air doesn't work. All these kinds of things, and she has an alternate personality, alternate ego that kind of comes out and helps her like push through all this stuff. And it's really funny and witty and really well shot. We had a DP from New York come down. Jackson Jarvis shot it. He had nice Alexa Mini, some really beautiful, well done, high production value. It was a high budget too, so and we ended up going over budget too. So
that's like a short film. I mean, a cool film. I'm thinking about watching that tonight. Actually,
yeah, check it out.
I got to Talk Black. All right, so Jonathan, you've seen my show before, and this is the part where I'm gonna ask you 3 hard questions. All right, are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, first one. What is the most gruesome kill scene that you've ever seen in a horror movie, and you were like, you know what, I would not want to die that way?
Ooh, I guess it wouldn't be horror scene, but in Game of Thrones, what's the one where I forget, something man, the flailed man. Do you remember that? Did you ever watch Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
It's like the really evil guy who like took over the castle and is was he like cutting people open like I don't know, something really disgusting. Yeah.
I know what you're talking. Yeah.
Or skinned or something.
Yeah.
It's been a while, but yeah, that was just
Eat skin alive sounds fucking awful.
Yeah. I prefer, that just feels like, at least for me, the pain just is too long. It needs to be.
Yeah.
I think it'd be gruesome, but as long as it's over quickly, I think I'm more okay with that. The idea of like somebody, and maybe that's something that would unnerve audiences. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be more gruesome. The longer like suffering, I think, is what I would want to avoid, I guess.
I totally agree. I mean, somebody's twisting your head off or pulling your head off. I mean, are you really feeling that? I feel like it's, by the time it happens, you're dead and you didn't feel a thing. So, like, yes, they're prolonged ones, which is those ones are hard to watch, like the Terrifier and stuff, and stuff like that. That's hard to watch because it's kind of like it's like overkill, literally, and you're just making someone suffer for a long period of time before they die. So I mean, that's definitely a good one.
Yeah, I think horror fans. I mean, I haven't done the surveys. There is a great survey. I forget. Stephen Follows. There's a horror report that he made, a big PDF. It's for anybody who's interested in making films, horror films. Check it out. It's called the Horror Report by a guy. I think it's Stephen Follows. It's a huge, like kind of database of like surveys that he did for. I think it was in the UK, but about like different elements that people just what horror movies like over the span of several decades. All the common elements and things is really interesting.
Definitely check that out. And the second question I'm going to ask you is, I'm trying to think of a good one. So I think of these questions off the top of my head, by the way. Okay, what iconic horror villain would you say that? I'm not saying you agree with why they're killing people, but you're like, you know what? I can see why they're doing it.
Oh, that's a good question. Usually, okay, I could. Oh yeah, I've got a good one. I mean, I think that's like the key thing. If you have a horror villain that has no like perspective on what's you can't like kind of understand their position, kind of like with Thanos wiping out half the population. He was the villain, but people can understand. Okay, I see his point of view. He's got a point, but you can't just do that to people.
Yeah.
They can understand that perspective, and I think that makes the villain more well-rounded, more real, and not just just a bad guy like maybe I don't know, but I'm trying to think of a very flat horror villain. They're out there, yeah.
Yeah.
But like Aliens, the Alien Queen, especially Aliens, the second one, which is a fantastic, horror thriller. It's one of my favorites.
Amazing.
She's a mother and she wants to protect her children. And the same thing that Ripley was going through with Newt. She kind of felt like that was her daughter. She wanted to have that mothering instinct to protect her. You could kind of see that mirrored with the Alien Queen. She was just there to protect her eggs. I mean, it's kind of gross to us, if they're like insect alien creatures, but that was still her family, right? She was trying to protect them, so she had something you could understand and identify with, but you still that I think is really interesting.
It is. Yes, I mean, yes, the horror movie filmmakers who can make you question, like, boy, I'm just questioning with the villain. Like, are you like where you're like, wow, I see where they're coming from. Like I said, that is you're hitting the right button. I mean, like I was talking about Art the Clown, like the Terrifier movies. The biggest thing I have with them is I don't know his motive. You know what I mean? There's no, I can't relate. I mean, great character, great kills, but why is he doing it? Who is he? And I can't, I think the older I get, I need to somewhat, need a backstory of the horror character.
Mm-hmm. Sure, yeah. Yeah, that's, I think like story is one of the things that a lot of horror filmmakers, kind of miss on is, at least, for me, I like a really good, in-depth, interesting story that has emotional content and characters you can relate to, and but having opposing psychological needs of the two characters, your main character and your villain, is really important. Even with like The Thing, another one of my favorites is it's disgusting, and there's this crazy I don't know, alien creature, whatever, it's taking over people, but still maybe that's just how it survives. That's how it lives. We don't. I guess not enough is told about it. But something like The Entity, which is another favorite of mine. I don't know if you ever saw that. It's like '80s horror film with Barbara Hershey. That thing is scary, man.
Yes.
And that's one, I guess, where the villain is, not really even, I don't know what it is. There's just the entity, right? This energy or this like spirit or something. And that'd probably be like one of the better examples of a villain that has no. We don't really know their motive, but is incredibly scary. At least it scared the crap out of me when I was younger. So.
Oh, that's scared the shit out of me too. All right,
but that's tough. I mean, it's tough to find that kind of.
It is.
Balance.
But I mean, I think of like characters. Like if you ask me who my favorite horror movie characters are, not necessarily movie, but characters. Like I'll toss out Candyman. I mean, he has a great backstory. Freddy Krueger, Jason, Michael Myers, all those guys who like you know what their story is, what their motivation, why they're doing what they're doing, and even one of mine, favorite that most people don't know is the Prowler. Like you understand why the Prowler is doing what he's doing. Necessarily, it's not a good thing, but you're like, I know why in his crazy mind why he feels like what he's doing is the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super important to avoid having flat characters. So,
yeah. All right. Final question. The term "jump the shark" means, Happy Days. That's when Fonzie finally jumped the shark. That's when a show or a series is over. What movie series, horror movie series, do you think has jumped the shark at this point? And at this point, they're just making movies for cash grabs.
Oh man. Not a horror, but probably the Terminator movies.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Is Terminator 0? Is that a real thing with John Cena? I don't know. I saw something about that. Is that?
I hope not.
No.
I checked out I checked out after the third one, to be honest.
Yeah. The third one was okay, but I mean, I don't think they can ever top Terminator 2. It's like Terminator's one of my favorite films. It was a Terminator. Cyberdyne Systems hat. That franchise just I don't know. Even when Arnold was like was older and like he was like a was it Terminator Genesis? I don't know. Just I don't know.
Yeah,
it's been hard to breathe new life into that.
By the way, Terminator 1 isn't that a horror film? Would you put that in horror? Okay, because the debate is that it's a sci-fi or action movie, and I'm like, it has aspects of that, but it's 100% a horror film.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what's great about it. Like, there's a lot of talk in the writing communities about mixing genres, and that's why Star Wars became so successful, because it mixed so many genres. Romance, sci-fi, action. It was fantasy. It was all those things, and a lot of films before then and older films, they're kind of single genre things. So I think one of the things that made Terminator so successful is that it did mix those genres really well. It was sci-fi, it was action, it was thriller, it was horror. I mean, there's parts where the hand comes back and like grabs. I mean, that's classic horror elements. Yeah, that was a fantastic movie.
Love it. All right, Jonathan, where can everyone find you, my friend?
The website for the film is someonesinister.com. You can go there and watch the trailer. I have Instagram is at jbeatty films. You can see some of my stuff there. But yeah, I'm not a marketer. You can tell. So,
well, listen. Also, go down into the description. I'll have the link to the teaser trailer. That's on YouTube. Jonathan, this was a blast having you on, man.
Yeah, thank you, Travis. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'm going to go watch Talk Black right now.
Awesome, man. I hope you enjoy it.
Yes, and I'll text you and let you know what I think.
Cool, thank you.
All right.
Have a good one.
You too. Everyone, thank you for coming to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and that is Jonathan Beatty. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.
See you guys. Thanks again. Bye.